Hello there everybody, welcome to the first ever episode, the pilot of Nobody Likes Recruiters. In this episode, Steve, Lee and we talk at length about what that experience is like to start a recruitment agency without any experience of working for a recruitment agency, and it's something you can do too. If you have no experience of working in a recruitment agency, but you have thought about setting up a recruitment agency, this podcast is most definitely for you. Now, it's the first one we've done. Oh, on top of that, actually, also, if you're thinking of starting any business, this podcast is for you, because Steve and Lee talk in detail about that process of launching a business, getting started. What are the key elements of that? How do you ride waves and storms like the situation with COVID and lockdown? So there's lots of great stuff in this podcast / show for you. If you enjoy it, remember to like, share, subscribe, give us a follow and do all those very good things. So without any further ado, let's get on with the show. Hope you enjoy it. So starting a recruitment agency from scratch, with no experience of working for a recruitment agency. Yeah. You guys have made it to 5 years, almost 5 years, right? And the statistic is that, over 8 out of 10 recruitment agencies that start up don't make it past 1 year. So you've done almost 5, and you did it while COVID was kicking off and businesses were closing down and stuff.
Yeah.
How?
It's pretty nuts, really, wasn't it? I mean, we'd never worked a day in a recruitment agency before, but we had got between us nearly 20 years internal recruitment experience. So in a way, we knew recruitment. We just didn't know if we could probably translate that into a recruitment agency model, did we?
I think the biggest difference is really, like BD, the only main thing I suppose an agency has done differently we've ever done is actually going out there and developing business and developing clients from scratch. Actually, I would argue that an internal recruitment process was probably a lot more robust than I mean, it could be controversial, but maybe than an agency, because ultimately when you were doing an internal recruitment process, it was all about candidate experience, brand reputation. And sometimes I think as an agency, we've actually found that we've actually thought it's a bit easier, to be honest with you, in terms of the candidate side, because when we were always internal, you always had a hiring manager dropping at your desk and going, where are my candidates?
Yeah.
Whereas, you still always have to update your kind of client, but there isn't that kind of pressure that it's affecting store target or whatever kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a bit nuts, really, wasn't it? I think the timing wise, I'd got a kid under the age of 1.
Yeah.
But did you have a kid?
Yeah, just had a kid.
Yeah. So we both got quite decent jobs, and a lot of people go from agency recruitment to internal, but not the other way around.
Yeah.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. It's quite common. I think a lot of people get kind of burnt out by agency recruitment, and a lot of people go back. But it's a bit unheard of. Everybody we told when we mentioned were like, Jesus, are you guys crazy?
Yeah. Because it is just competitive. It's mega competitive. It's a pop-up business. All you need is a laptop and a phone.
Yeah. So there's a low bar of entry almost.
Yeah.
So the people that you said that thought you were crazy, were they people that were already internal recruiters, or were they people that worked on an agency side and were like, whoa, don't come and do the agency thing?
I think more my missus.
Yeah.
So do you know what? I'll come home one day and go, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to start up an agency with Lee, but we've never worked for an agency before. I think it'll be all right.
Did she ask you those? Did she say that? How are you going to do that, Steve? Because you haven't worked for an agency before.
No, do you know what she said? She didn't tell me no, but she didn't tell me yes either. So I pretty much knew. I don't know, like you said, within your first year, it was mega important not to fail, because I think my missus expected me, or my wife now expected not to work out.
Did you think it'd work out?
Life crisis.
Did you think it'd work out?
I don't know. Do you know? I think when we talked about it, right, we used to do laps around Limedale Business Park when we worked for Phones for You, and he'd always be going, "Let's start a recruitment agency," and I was just like, "No chance. Yeah. It's way too competitive. It's dog eat dog. I can't be bothered, with that."
And we've worked with recruitment agencies, hundreds of recruitment agencies. There were good recruiters out there. There were bad recruiters. There were some shit agencies. A lot of agencies will promise the world, deliver less. So we knew recruitment, we'd worked with recruitment agencies, we knew the reputation that we had.
Yeah.
And I think what we'd always said is, we'd learned internally, there's a lot of differences between agency and internal recruitment. And what was important for us, we said if we do it, we're going to do it completely different. We're going to take into account all of the learnings from internal recruitment, from HR, from your background, and we're going to translate that model into a recruitment agency, because that's all we knew really.
Well, we always stressed, because one of the things you asked was about the kind of COVID year.
Yeah.
And I remember in the first couple of years, we're like, we need to niche. What are our niches going to be? What are we going to specialise in? And actually being a generalist, which we probably are, but we've got our kind of strengths within the agency, probably helped to protect us during that COVID year. One of the clients that we worked with was a large manufacturing engineering business that were largely unaffected kind of during COVID. They were still trading and busy. And actually, had we just niched down to the commercial sector, that some of the stuff that we're used to,
you'd have probably your eggs in one basket. Yeah, right.
So actually, the thing where it has played to our advantage during that period, whether we kind of continue to be a generalist or niche, in the future, who kind of knows. But I think kind of having that kind of broader business kind of model was a lot better.
It's always that balance between. It's the same when you start up anything really. You'll hear people say, you need to niche down. Any kind of agency where we're offering a service, you need to know who your customer is.
Yeah.
But then there is an element of probably more risk to that.
Yeah.
For situations like COVID, where you could have just, for example, imagine if you'd have only catered for recruiting for restaurants.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, you'd have been in big trouble, right?
Yeah.
But then also,
to a lot of people. I was talking to a candidate yesterday, and she worked for a business that hospitality leveraged, and that's it, job done. Like their business folded during the COVID year. So it is true. It's really important, kind of, I suppose, the mix of your business and the sector mix.
Yeah, let's go back to like the early days, because I reckon people listen to this, there's a good chance that they're going to be, or watching this, there's a good chance they're going to be, they might even be you walking around Landale Business Park, and where you boys are chatting, and there might be someone that's like, do you know what, I like the idea of it, but I'm sceptic about it, right? I don't know really how to get going with it, and what are those first couple of months and years going to be like. So take us back to the early days. How did you start? What did it look like?
Sticks out in my head, right? In the early days, we were in this shoebox office that was, we just about could function in it, couldn't we? Really, we had to go out into the corridor to take a call from the phone.
It was so small we couldn't be on the phone. We got these desks that we borrowed from the canteen building. They were waiting for the canteen. We
when you say borrowed, you did air quotes. Just for those listening. So do you mean you stole them?
Well, we returned them, didn't we? After
did the people who you took them from know that they were gone?
No, there was loads. To be fair, there was loads of desks there. They wouldn't have missed a couple of desks.
No, we wouldn't. But we didn't have enough cash, in all seriousness, to buy a desk at the time.
But we had about $4,000 in the bank, didn't we, from a role that we filled whilst we were still at a previous position. We'd set up a site and trying to get a bit of traction. We got a couple of borrowed desks. We got £15 chairs from eBay. Yeah. a couple of dodgy laptops.
You love your eBay.
And a room. It was a Burslem, wasn't it? Enterprise Centre, which was like a subsidised kind of office. Little shoebox, £70 a month, just the job.
There was a chap that was opposite us. He was ex-banking, and he was doing his own thing, wasn't he? As financial advisor and mortgages. And he popped his head in every morning to us, like, lads, you go, listen lads, whatever you do, build the bank, cash is king, build the bank. Every morning,
good advice.
And he'd go to us, lads, are you building the bank?
Yeah.
So, and that, as mad as it sounds, that's always stuck with me from the early days, is actually cash flow. If you've got no cash flow, life is pretty shit, and it really is in a business, and even as an agency, you're on long payment terms, notice periods, all the other kind of stuff. Like, your cash isn't instant. Yeah. So that kind of initial bit of having something to fall back on.
Yeah, and hearing that every day. And he was like, I'll look out on the car park, I don't want to see any fancy cars there, because I'm telling you now, it won't work. And we had that every day from him, didn't we?
Yeah. Sage advice.
Yeah, 100%.
But it is, there's a bit of things around. The place wasn't the most glamorous, the nicest place that you'd be proud to bring the client. But you're surrounded by other businesses and people that have been doing it for a while, aren't they, really, to kind of know. And I think the biggest learnings wasn't recruitment learnings for me.
Yeah.
Just running a business, your laptop breaks, I used to ring IT service desk and they used to sort it out, or all these little things. I mean, I remember him spending a day one day just trying to sort out a fault on his laptop, and it's not good, well spent time at the time, but you got no money to do anything else, have you?
Yeah, but it was a bit bonkers though. You know, looking back now, we were a bit crazy. We had no clients. We had pretty much no money in the bank at all. You know, we got a phone line. The phone never rang. No inbound calls. No inbound customers. No emails. Nothing
That's
like
the biggest
that.
turning point I ever felt in my head from a business was once you get an inbound lead, like it's quite defining, because when you start your business, your site's nowhere. You've got no local traction. You've got no brand presence, and I remember us getting the first inbound lead, and I tell you what, mate, it felt...
Well, that was about 3.5 years in.
That's
Basically
it,
3.5 years for the phone to ring.
Well, it takes time. It takes time. So
and
just
do you know what, mate? We missed the call.
Did you?
Yeah, we missed the call.
So you had no...
we got a phone on the shelf for 3 years that never rings. I don't know. We popped out lunch, came back about 4 days later, noticed a glowing red button, listened to it, and it was a company one. It's the first call we missed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, because at first you've got to kind of build your proposition, you've got to build your profile, so you can't expect people to come to you at first.
Yeah.
So you were doing a lot of outbound stuff.
Do you know what, mate? We've never done. I think we've done 2 cold calls since we started the business.
Yeah. So were you dependent on like a pre-existing network that you'd built up there?
Everything for us was, so we talk about it before, without the relationships and without 10, 15 years of work experience behind us, we would have never been able to, given the model, we would have never been able to get it off the ground, because we reached out to previous colleagues, people we'd worked with in the past, just telling them what we're doing, posting the odd post on LinkedIn. We got a lot of people saying, oh, it's great, lads, and we got a lot through that, didn't we, initially, from existing relationships.
But I think the key is, if you're a knobhead in your previous businesses, people never would have worked
and
with us.
burnt bridges.
And burnt bridges,
exactly.
And actually, kind of working within the businesses we did, they were generally large national-based businesses, or the national charity that we work for. So actually, the fact that people were receptive when you touch base, regardless of whether they could help you, support you, give you business, it was good, wasn't it? Because people were still supporting us, or still liking us or following us on social media and doing all the kind of stuff. So actually, even if they weren't in a position to support, what you come to learn is actually they were still talking to other people within our networks that were kind of, they could refer us to and stuff like that.
Yes, there's a couple of things that I take away from that, right? One of them is, it doesn't ever sound, so this whole thing of like, people waiting for the right time, right? It doesn't sound like it was the right time for you, because you went into it, although you had that network to lean on, you didn't go into it like a load of money saved.
I don't think we thought it through.
No.
Enough, or properly enough.
But in a way, that's like a sink or swim.
100%. And I think if you'd really thought about sometimes what it takes to get something up and running and off the ground from a cold start,
you'll never do it.
You probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Actually, there's got to be a certain set of circumstances, aren't there?
Yeah.
You've either got to really fucking hate your job, you've either got to be really confident or have an existing client base, isn't it, that you can kind of rely on or support on, because you've got to be something that would kind of draw you to want to do it.
Yeah.
And I think for us, I mean, even from uni, that's where we kind of originally met in uni. We'd always wanted to do a business. Like, you tried one, didn't you? Kind of straight from uni that didn't quite pan out in the end. But we'd always been on about what can we do, what will it be? There's always going to be something. I suppose it just was timing that was the thing we chose at the end.
What do you think you were most naive about in those early days?
Do you know what? There's a few things really. I think the first week it was like euphoria. We signed up for a gym. We hit it a few more. We were like, this is a life, lads. I think we had one role that we were working and
from the spa every day.
Yeah, we didn't end up. Yeah, we didn't end up filling that role. And then the next week, do you know what? We'll reach out to a few more people, and then the website's floated now. And then we did at a point, didn't we? About 3 months in, where we thought, do you know what? Things are going a little bit slower than we thought, really.
It was make or break, wasn't there? There was a make or break point where we're going to try and balance the mortgage payments. What date does yours come out? Mine comes out this date. We'll pay you then, and then by that point, hopefully this invoice will be paid.
But I also remember a big, naive is thinking businesses sort of pay you when they say you're going to pay you. So we've got 30-day business terms from invoice. And I remember right, it's the 29th day, tomorrow we're going to get paid. Yeah, we can pay ourselves. sitting there on Santander every hour, refreshing the bank balance, thinking, oh, the money's going to come in today.
I've got to say, I do think that's
Yeah.
probably one of the most naive things that
Yeah.
you did, because you guys have worked on the other side. So you've worked for businesses and companies. We all know, I've worked for big corporates, and the amount of times that I had, say, as a marketeer working in the marketing department, outsourcing, say, PR, having the PR guy coming to me saying, where's my payment? It's been 3 months and we have to go over to finance with a sheet saying, we should have paid this guy. So that surprised me a little bit that you were naive on that.
I've never experienced that.
No.
I think it was
There's always a
finance,
team, we could just say, this is your contact, go and talk to them.
Right, okay.
But I think, like, you know, and again, it's important learning, and actually what we kind of learn is, it's funny, isn't it? SMEs are generally, I suppose, appreciate a small business or a smaller business and cash flow, and they're generally better players. Large nationals, you know, obviously they're not as concerned.
Yeah.
You know, you're a supplier to them, and we'll kind of pay you
Yeah.
at the time. So it's how you manage that in the end is the biggest thing.
But there's also different ways, buddy, as well. So our approach has always been organic, relying on relationships, doing a good job, relying on our previous relationships and our reputations to get business. I think if you went with the mindset of, right, we'll sit down at a desk and we'll bang out cold calls to every business in Stoke-on-Trent and treat it that way, might have been a bit different. I don't think it's going to be effective, but that's never been our approach, has it?
No, and do you know what, it'll work, won't it? You know, the old
Then
school
80% of recruitment agencies in the first year fail, because maybe their approach is too sales heavy rather than quality recruitment.
And that's what we've always said, is actually that was what we're never going to do. You know, actually, we're going to be defined by the service and the candidates that we deliver, more than actually having a spiel and talking the talk. You know, we'll always say, this ain't going to work, or we can't fill it, or your salary's too low. We'll always kind of have that honest conversation, but it has to be based on anecdotal evidence and not just going to a customer. Do you know what? You need to pay more. Yeah. Everyone can get another candidate. If you pay a bit more and more above the odds, it's easy to find.
Yeah. How hard is it having those conversations sometimes with clients? You know, people that come to you and want to recruit, and you've told me things before. You know, I've worked in this office sporadically, and I've listened to your conversations, and you'll be honest with people who are looking to recruit. You know, how tough is it sometimes to have those conversations where someone's talking to you and from their perspective they've got the best opportunity in the world, but you have to be honest sometimes and say, you're not paying enough, you're not offering enough to a client. How hard is it to get into that mode to be able to have those tough conversations?
I think the truth is, right, when we first started, we work roles that are non-viable when you first start your business, because you'd work any role, wouldn't you? And it was difficult when every role counted, because you didn't have good business, sustainable business, and all the other kind of stuff like when we first started. Whereas it's a touch easier now, because, you know, we're 5 years in, we kind of know what we're doing, we know the market, we know what we're doing, but I think it has to be based upon, I'm just conscious that none of that should be based upon your gut feeling as a recruiter. You know, for example, we'll always go and do a bit of research for the company, and these are the reasons, the random reason, this is how much you're paying under, this is what. But then we just readjust the profile of the candidate. It isn't that saying you can't recruit it, you just go, you're going to have to look at somebody a little bit more junior, or look at somebody cross-skilled, and you never go and you can't get that individual, or we won't get you anything. No. It's just a readjustment.
And I think some recruiters look at recruitment as, I'm an employer, I'll call up the recruiter, they will then evaluate the opportunity, what's the salary like, and they will almost amber the role. So how likely as a recruiter am I going to fill it and get my fee? And they might, some of the big agencies, they will rag every vacancy, so red, amber, green. The red agencies, they might bang the red roles, they might bang an advert out, not really focus on it because it's not viable. Whereas with our internal hats on, we know the business has got a need, they want to fill the role. It's up to us as a recruiter to help them fill the role. Yeah. So now if an employer comes to us and says, we had an example, an employee came and says, I'd like to recruit a bid writer, it's been out with 3 other agencies before and they've all been shocking and not delivered anyone. So I said, okay, tell me a bit about the role. So the salary is 23,000, we're looking for this amount of experience. So I said, well, salary sounds a bit low, but I had a quick look online and said, within a 15-mile radius of where you're based, there's 9 other bid writer roles at the moment, salary starting from 35 up to 45. So actually it's not surprising that on a 23k base you've not been able to fill the role. But I was surprised that no other agencies had had that conversation with them.
You've just given away, I think, like such a little gem of knowledge there, though.
Yeah.
Like, if you're listening to this and you're thinking of starting a recruitment agency, or you've started one, that what you've just said there is golden. You know, the fact that you've kind of like you've created a bit of a blueprint, really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It might sound very simplistic, but I don't know how many people would think to do that. Like, you've gone on there, you've looked 15-mile radius. You've taken that time to do that. Did you do that on the phone while you were speaking to them?
Yeah, pretty much. And then they sent me the role details. But we do that
For most roles.
because
Well,
when
you
you
work
work
both your
internally,
interests, though, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Really,
yeah.
like, do you know what? I want to fill the role.
Yeah.
Obviously, to make money for the business, but they need the role filling. You've got a need, so it's within both interests. I like us more as consultant. I suppose using the word consultant, recruitment consultants in many ways. You should be consulting with the business to do the best thing for them, ultimately to either fill the role and for a long-term hire. You know, one of our clients jokes, doesn't it? We're absolutely gutted if someone leaves, and I am. Because you have to believe, don't you, ultimately, that person's going to fit the business,
right person,
and the right culture. So it is gutting into when it doesn't work out. But the key probably to it is being a consultant. You know, not just being a number driver, a phone basher. Like, otherwise you'll just get shit outputs, really. In my personal opinion.
So taking it back a step, then going back to those early days, because relatively early days, so you'd have been up and running probably about 2 years, would you, when COVID hit?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Now, we don't want to kind of like focus too much on the COVID thing, because everybody listening to this will be worn out by that topic, but and hopefully there'll be nothing like that again where you've got national lockdowns and businesses being forcibly shut down. But the macro at the moment, things aren't great. So how did you ride those waves then? Like, what advice would you give to a company? Because those external things will come up. And,
so you go back to the thing, right? Like, we built the bank. So I remember saying to him on the day that all of our vacancies went off the board. So you must have been working, 20 vacancies at the time?
We got call after call from all the clients pretty much systematically. Yeah, can you stop working on that? Can you stop working on that role? We had clients call us about candidates that were due to start that we'd already put work in, that said, can we withdraw the job opportunity? So, you know, we lost probably 6 months of work that we'd previously done and future vacancies.
So it's almost like doing a cold start once you got back off COVID. But I think the biggest bit I remember speaking to him going, well, worst case scenario, we went and worked out all of our outgoings, and this is how long we've got to survive. But the thing that was peace of mind was we built the bank, so we didn't go and buy flash cars, we didn't go and start buying really expensive things and equipment and all the other kind of bits and pieces. We kept things quite modest. For the first couple of years, our cost base was relatively low. You know, we needed to have the things to be able, the tools to do the job, but we didn't go and do anything extravagant. We didn't go and buy a fancy office and all the other kind of bits and pieces. It was all done organically, and actually, when we shut the business down on that day, when pretty much everyone was told to go home, and
businesses to the left and right were panicking, weren't they?
Yeah.
We went and got a KFC, didn't we? And thought, it's probably the last time we're going to be in office for a while. Let's go grab a bargain bucket and sat down and have a couple of games of darts, and you just got to keep a bit of a cool head, haven't you?
That's what we said was, whatever happens, we've started cold once. As long as we've got enough to be able to pay our bills, we'll just crack on again. And
the strength of the relationships with the clients, we knew that would not go. We offer the best service and the best service to candidates and clients. That's something you don't need fancy equipment or kit.
No.
The fundamentals of what we've got in place, the processes, the business model, how we treat and service a client. And remember, all of our clients, although it was not great news for us to hear that people weren't starting, it was because our clients were fearful. They didn't know what was going to happen. That was their reaction as well. So we knew it was going to be a temporary thing. We didn't know how frigging bad it was going to be. We thought we're going to lock down for a couple of weeks or something.
So at the time as well.
I remember emailing the accountant and going, what did we do?
And he said, I've got no idea.
It's like, mate, I'm inundated at the moment. Stop emailing me.
I've got no idea.
But I think it's funny you kind of say that bit about as a kind of new person starting up a business, what's the important things. And I think the bit where things really transformed for us a bit, and again, it all goes back to having money in the bank, was about getting a good network of people around you. Like, we aren't experts in everything. The bit that we do well is recruit. Like, I ain't a marketeer, I'm not a finance professional, I'm not a IT professional, and all the kind of things that you generally need to function your business, is as soon as you can afford it, start paying those people, because you just end up being a busy fool. Like, concentrate on the bit that you can afford to do, the bit that you're good at, and get a good network of people around you for the other things, really.
Yeah.
Would be my advice. Because I remember we were sort of defining roles, weren't we, at the beginning, going, well, Lee can pick up marketing, Lee can pick up this, that and the other, I'll pick up X and Y. But, you know, ultimately, like, if you can get good people that you can rely upon, you know, get a good accountant, you know, starting up a business, don't necessarily go cheap, or don't go with somebody. You've got to get a good accountant, really.
The accountancy thing, that's massive, by the way, because that's if we talk about risk factors starting a new business, you know, if you try and do that bit on your own and think I'll save the couple of £100, whatever a good accountant is, depending on the volume that you're putting through.
I'm a tight bastard though, really.
But when you think about what that could cost you, when you think about what that could cost you in terms of getting your tax return wrong, and then the tax man coming back to you in a couple of years' time, you know, I think it's well worth, because you can sleep easy at night.
You know,
when you outsource that to an expert.
It's when you come through it. So you need to pay PAYE. Sorry, what? What's PAYE? And when you got ready for your pension, and then all of a sudden, then it's kind of like, so your VAT's due this. What's that?
You know,
what's quarters on what, and corp tax, and then you're all of a sudden.
Mate, we dropped the ball, didn't we? Like, I think it was when we signed up for the Chamber of Commerce, and we went to like a free kind of seminar thing, and it was, we had a session after going through a P&L or balance sheet, or I still don't know the difference, but it was like, oh, where's your corp tax on this? I was like, what do you mean? It was like, your corporation tax, you've not factored in anything on your business plan. I was like, what?
Well, we didn't really have a business plan when we started. That's a mad thing. We didn't have a business plan.
And that's put that there, saying you didn't have a business plan. Because I imagine there'll be a percentage of people listening to this that are, the analogy I'd use are, you know, those people that like, they say, I'm going to start tennis,
studious,
right? They go, I'm going to start playing tennis, and they'll go and they'll spend X amount on a racket, they'll get all the gear, they won't actually go to the court and start playing tennis, right? So there's always that thing.
Gear, no idea, don't you, mate?
Then maybe they do, sure. Yeah, that's probably what they do, all the gear, no idea. I don't want to be that, because I mean, they probably do have an idea, some of these people, right? But there's always that thing where you're like, right, I need to get everything in place before I start. I need a website. I need to do my business plan. I need to get all my ducks in order. But actually, sometimes it's better just to go.
Mate, you guys, we started out with one job board, right? And I remember, I even said it the other day.
And no business plan, and no idea what called
one job board. And he goes, how did we fill any roles?
Yeah.
Because I have no idea. We have one job board. If you think of the tools now that we use to try and fill vacancies and kind of service clients, and like, but it's all you wing it, don't you? That's the biggest part. You know, we've changed the website, we're on a third iteration of a website. Like, you haven't got to line everything up and have all your ducks in a row to start a business, have you, really? You've got to have, I mean, you've got to prepare, put the graft in. It's long hours, long nights. I mean, the bits that you don't know about running a business, you're learning and doing in the evenings after doing your day job, or after you kind of put kids down to bed and stuff.
But then, like, I think with like the third iteration, the one thing that we've both got in AIDS as well, we always want to continually improve. We're always looking at ways of how can we, a candidate correspondence, a customer journey, a client journey, how can we go above and beyond to kind of source the best candidates, how we introduced kind of video software now for the way we can post video adverts or attract people in a tough client market. We can send them individual videos about great vacancies that we work on as well.
If we look in our time, how recruitment's changed. So recruitment has changed in the 5 years. You know, we've gone through loads of different waves, and we're currently in the wave where you can't find a candidate, you know, or candidates are hard to come by, you know, depending on the skill set, specialism, and all that kind of stuff. And we're seeing wages pushed up. So if you stand still and don't try to evolve and don't try to change the way you attract, the way you recruit, the way you manage, you know, your clients and have that experience, then, you know, you're going to struggle. Really, like, that's the bits where, and I think that's the bits where some agencies get off the cycle in the end. And I can see why, because after 10 years of doing it, 15 years, and on this thing of always trying to keep ahead and keep current and keep whatever stuff, it's quite full on, especially within kind of recruitment.
But then also, we have to continually pass that message on to employers. You know, some employers are really guilty of not being able to find people because they've not evolved and adapted, and you hear everybody saying now, oh, you know, they all want hybrid working, and some employers are completely closed off to it, and And that's part of our job now, isn't it? To help tell them about the market, the ever-evolving market, how the market changes, how candidates' expectations change. So
I think that's that biggest thing about internal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because actually, in the stuff you talk about there is all about your EVP, your employee value proposition. And I think that's the bit where, again, if you consult with your business, you can help to start to draw that out of a company to be able to help them to recruit and attract and retain the best talent, really. So again, it's not just transactional. If you're just a transactional recruiter, you probably ain't going to be in the game at long, because there are going to be 5 more agencies that are going to open with some good ideas and all the other kind of stuff as well. And there is lots of good agencies out there. You know, there's a couple that open at a similar time than us, and they're doing good. But again, from what I see from what they do, they continually try to evolve.
It's that iteration.
Yeah.
So that seems to be how you've managed to make it through these 5 years. Is you've constantly iterated. Constantly, you've been open to new technologies. You're kind of a progressive company, for want of a better word, and I think that really kind of comes through. Like so, in terms of like that overarching advice to anybody that was looking to start a recruitment agency. We've mentioned iteration. We've mentioned not being so, for want of a better word, like anal about the process to start. I've got to have all these things in place. What other kind of key things would you ask people to take away?
It's a tricky one, really, and I think why we've been successful is all because of our internal background, the fact that we work hard, the fact that we're driven, the fact that we're not 100% like a lot of recruitment agencies and a lot of recruiters get into recruitment because they don't know what else to do. They've kind of dropped out something, or they're quite sales focused.
Yeah.
So they want to, the best recruiters can be driving a number, they can be billing, they can be aiming at getting candidates across to businesses over that 3-month line where they collect the commission. Yeah. They see the huge amount of money that goes back and forth, and they think, right, I can have a crack at this myself.
The biggest bit though, actually, I think, and there's one thing actually we failed to probably say, is that all of the people that we thought would come through for us when we first started never did.
So all of your strong connections that you'd built,
we had some great connections.
Right. Oh, really?
And the people that you thought would be receptive to your phone call, the people that you were really, I suppose, quite friendly with or pally with, or thought would they actually weren't necessarily the people that really got us going in the first place. It was actually some of our looser connections, within the businesses that we're in. They were kind of, oh, yeah, mate, how are you doing? And yeah, good to hear from you. The amount of times we got blanked from people that we probably spent a good proportion of time with and chatted to, and in some ways even gone on work nights out, socialised with and stuff like that, and just blanked. So I suppose, bond advice, people that you think are bankers, generally ain't bankers. So
don't rest on that.
I think...
But I don't think your average person who's starting up a recruitment agency, is not going to have a massive network.
But I suppose you could be for your clients, because I suppose that's the other thing, is like, a lot of your stuff is relationship based. Now, if you think that you've got a strong tie with a business, you can do that, and over time you can develop that tie. But if within 6 months you're friendly with the HR director and he leaves, the new HR inbound director is likely to know another recruitment agency, unless there's a tried and tested thing, or the business can testify for you to say that they've done well, delivered value, then again, it's challenging, isn't it? And I think that's for some of the people that have been in agencies, will go, well, I can take my clients with them, but you can to a point, and then if those contacts don't leave the business, again, it's quite challenging.
It depends what sort of recruiter you are, really, doesn't it? If you're a relationship-focused recruiter who's got multiple clients, because some clients do follow recruiters around when they move from company to company.
Yeah.
If you're the one that just shoots at the number, driving a number, doing all the agency bad habits, then it's always going to be a struggle. It's going to be a constant grind. Well, we retain a lot of our clients, don't we?
Yeah,
we don't often lose clients of our own choice, do we?
No.
Which speaks volumes itself. Yeah. So just to wrap things up, and I will answer this question first, then I'll put it to both of you. So why do we think that nobody really likes recruiters? I think, for me being a candidate, it's because a lot of the time you feel like they don't really listen. They haven't particularly thought about what it is that your experience is, or your situation, and they tell you that they've read your CV, but I'm not sure how frequently they have, at least in any great detail. So that's from my side. as people who work in the industry, first I'll go to you, Stephen, and we'll finish up with Lee. How would you answer that question?
I think whether you're a candidate or client, people feel like they're in a production line. They feel like it's just a numbers game. So if you're a candidate, you get ghosted, don't you? You have the best conversation of your life, and then the recruiter either hasn't got the balls to go, I don't think you're going to be right for this job, or they don't go, do you know what, on reflection of what you said, it isn't going to fit. You know, they're more focused on, well, actually, if I can submit 5 CVs, you know, I've got 5 CVs with the client, and it's... And
that
again,
resonates,
but I think then that frustrates the client, so it's probably the same thing with that, is then the client's got 5 CVs, the all 5 might look good, but then because of the lack of qualification up front, or the lack of honesty up front with the candidate, which the candidate generally appreciates the honesty, then they go, oh, I want to interview all 5, and then you can generally all get hold of one, and then it's hit and miss sometimes if they come in. So I think that's why they hate them, is because, do you know what, it is expensive.
Hate's a strong word.
Yeah,
probably accurate. Probably accurate.
Not like, but not like. I mean, it's
dislike.
It's expensive. You know, it's not cheap, and they want to feel like they get a good service. And I think sometimes they don't feel like they do, either a candidate or client. They feel like they're just a production. It's a production.
Well, getting a job is one of the most important things in any person. Getting a new job, changing a job. So it's a massively important moment in somebody's life. And so that's why, candidates come to us at a pivotal moment in their life. Employers come to us because they've got some frustration. Either they've lost somebody, they need a gap in the business, or they really need to recruit. And then us as recruiters are right in that role of like trust and power, aren't they really?
Well, employers are under pressure at that point. It's a good point into, they've generally got a gap. They might be busy, and then the recruiter promises the earth, and then goes missing when they can't find someone. Instead of again having the conversations that Lee went back to about, well, actually, there's a bit of a mismatch. This is going to be challenging, or it's going to take a little bit longer than 2 days, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Instead of going, yeah, we'll get you somebody, no problem, blah blah blah, and then the client goes off thinking, oh, that's great, they're going to get me someone.
Maybe it's on a roll. That got my point. Sorry.
And then all of a sudden you got.
You probably knocked
Did I
him
cut
off.
you off?
Yeah, we a lot there badly there, mate. Sorry.
Was that
Well,
was that good?
Yeah, it was. No, what I was going to say. So there's that like
he's
pivot.
back, he's
Yeah,
back.
there's that.
He's back.
Do you know what, mate? Yeah, it's just. I was off.
Let him finish. I don't want him to lose it again. So right at the end of the show.
I was pivotal way through that. So I think we're in this position where we've got kind of all the power. I think it's never going to see the same now. That was just rolling off my tongue.
Just say it. No one knows what you were going to say. Just say it.
He's been dying to say, so he might be good, hasn't he? Like, do you know what? The pressure's on, isn't it? This is going to be rubbish.
So I think we're in this position of power.
Yeah.
I think certain recruiters see candidates, they've got a pound sign above the head, haven't they? If I get this person in, and they're being driven by the behaviour of, I need to hit my target.
Yeah.
I need to earn, X amount of K for the business per month. I need this candidate to go in there and do the job. So I think they're going to be good, so I'm going to push them into the job. So I think that's the frustration from the candidate side. And then from the business side, it's like, right, do I actually trust this recruiter? I get cold called by recruiters every day, all of them saying they do things differently, all of them with the same line. And if you're a recruiter and you use this line, which 90% of the recruiters say, I'm calling from such and such an agency, we're a bit different, can I just have 2 minutes of your time?
Yeah.
And I'm just really keen to understand a bit more about your business. And they always used to emphasise, I'm just really keen to, what are the growth plans for the finance team? I'm like, mate, you're one of 10 recruiters that's called me, all with the same line.
Yeah.
I'm busy, why do I want to give you information about the growth plans of a finance team? So I think it's just those little irritations, those little irritations kind of.
This does surprise me.
People don't hate us, do they? I think,
No.
it's.
I think you have to change a bit of perception, don't you? I think, recruiters do get a bad rap, and some justified, some not justified, I think, but, it's down to you to try and change it.
I certainly think that you boys are trying to buck the trend.
Yeah.
And this has been the first episode of Nobody Likes Recruiters. Hopefully it's gone well. If you enjoyed it, remember to hit the like button, subscribe, do all those good things. And we'll be back again, hopefully, for episode 2. If you did enjoy it, do let us know that you enjoyed it. That's the most important.
Or if there's any topics, I suppose, that people want us to cover.
Yeah.
All right, see you next time.
Just up, bye.